so many people kind of sit around and they just wait because they think that if they're not on one of the top 3 or 4 teams in their respective regions, that there's nothing out there for them. And honestly, in North America, it's true. If you're not on EG, if you're not on Forward Gaming, if you're not on Complexity, if you're not on JStorm, there's nothing for you. I don't think that the gap between semi-professional players and professional players is as large as some people may think it might be. The biggest difference is experience. However, we see rookies kind of pop up all the time. You have Topson at TI, for example. You have players that kind of jump the gap between pub and professional, and that is usually rare, and that doesn't happen as often. There's more stories about like teams that have stuck together for a year or two and have finally started to figure out how to play and how to win, and they may qualify for their first minor, they may qualify for their first major, and sure, they might go to that tournament and get their butts kicked, but it's experience and it's learning, and those are things that you have to do in Dota. You have to learn how to lose. You have to learn what it takes to win, and losing is almost always the quickest way to get there. Playing in a tournament as a player is definitely going to help you, I think, in almost all cases, unless that the team environment is detrimental to your growth. However, I think that if a team was to stick together as like a group of 4 or a group of 5 or kind of like a tight core of players, and they continually competed in events throughout the year, I think that they would find themselves improving at a much higher rate than the other teams around them that wouldn't be sticking together. So I don't know if it's that different. I think that if a team was able to stick together and compete and practice on a regular basis and then compete in these qualifiers and maybe win, maybe lose, maybe get kind of far. A lot of these qualifiers do kind of round robin of like similar styled events that what we're doing with NADCL. But I think that is more or less unlikely. And I also think that a lot of the teams they have a difficult time finding the incentive to practice on a regular basis when there is an event, when there isn't a match on Saturday, when there isn't a match on, every week. I think that the NADCL, what I was trying to do was provide a place for competition on a regular basis, so that way they could practice during the week and say, hey, we got to practice for our NADCL match this weekend. And then they could do the same thing on the next weekend or the weekend after that. And then when that major and minor qualifier comes, they've been practicing for 8 weeks and they're going to do so much better. I think that Dota in general has operated very much so around the international and the teams that get to go to that event, and all of the focus of the year kind of goes on how am I going to get to TI? How much is the prize pool going to be? What do I stand to win? And people kind of they forget about what's happening in the other areas of this esport that we're competing at. And I've kind of saw and felt like the North American scene, one familiar to my own, has been a little bit neglected. And I know that if I wasn't at this top level of professional Dota player, that there really wouldn't be very many places for me to compete. And I just wanted to give back in some ways. I also just wanted to create opportunities for my friends to have personal growth on a game that they're incredibly passionate about. I think the cool idea about NADCL is that it really does kind of involve everyone. We're creating competition, we're creating growth, we're creating stability in the North American scene, and this is a plus for everybody involved. This is going to be a league where you could watch the next Sumail, kind of rise to the top of the ranks and say, oh man, look at this guy, look at this mid player, look at this guy, he's got it all, and why don't we give him a shot on our professional team? Teams aren't always looking for new players, but after the international, when roster mania kicks in, some people are always looking for the next big star, and hopefully they can find him pretty easily through the NADCL. I think that the players who know me the best and the players that kind of have bought in to the league, very much so at its initial announcement, kind of understand what this league is trying to become and what it's all about. But for the majority of people, I think that they're just kind of here competing because it's the, you know, their teammates told them that it was the right thing to do, or it sounded like a fun thing to do, and which is totally fine. But in a perfect world, everybody would be aware of what we're trying to build here and would be, you know, a partner in its construction.